London, winter night, December 24th, 2019. While people everywhere were busy preparing for Christmas Eve, a cruel tragedy quietly took place in the peaceful Battersea neighborhood, South London. The neighbor's security camera recorded the last moments of the victim. Flamur Beqiri. A luxury car stopped in front of a spacious villa located on Battersea Church Road. The car door opened. Beqiri, a 36-year-old man, tall, with an elegant appearance, stepped out first. He gently helped his wife and carried their small child from the car. No one knew that the killer had been lurking in the dark for hours before. As the family approached the doorstep, from behind the low wall of trees, on the roadside, a dark figure suddenly rushed out. The masked man, wearing a long black coat, raised his pistol and without hesitation pulled the trigger. A cold series of bullets tore through the quiet atmosphere of Christmas Eve. Beqiri collapsed in front of the house, his terrified wife holding their child and screaming for help. The killer disappeared into the night in a split second, leaving behind a horrific scene. A collapsed body, a trail of blood on the flagstones. Police and ambulance sirens sounded shortly afterwards, marking the beginning of one of the most shocking cases in Britain in recent years. As police cordoned off the scene on Battersea Church Road, the big question on everyone's mind was, who is Flamur Beqiri? Beqiri, 36, was no stranger to the international entertainment world. Born in Albania but raised in Sweden, he quickly rose to become a talented and influential music producer. He collaborated with famous artists. His music events always attracted attention from the media and fans. At the time of his murder, Beqiri lived with his wife, a beautiful Swedish model, and their newborn baby in a luxury villa in Battersea, an affluent neighborhood on the River Thames. Their life seemed like a dream. Lavish vacations, high-class parties, expensive sports cars parked quietly outside the house. But behind the glamour, rumors began to emerge. Some say he was simply a successful businessman. Others whisper Beqiri had links to international crime networks, especially the pan-European drug trade. The cold-blooded murder on Christmas Eve seemed to turn those suspicions into a grim reality. The London police immediately launched a full-scale investigation to unravel the mystery surrounding the man who was both a victim and a mysterious figure in the underworld. The investigation is underway, and as the media begins to paint a portrait of Flamur Beqiri, people are increasingly curious about his seemingly perfect life before the tragedy. Beqiri was not only a successful music producer, but also a family man. He and his wife, a charming Swedish woman who used to be a model, had welcomed their first child just months before the incident. The image of the couple walking hand in hand along the Thames or playing with their young children in Battersea Park was once familiar to the surrounding neighbors. Their villa was modestly located behind high iron gates, surrounded by lush green trees and meticulously tended flower gardens. Inside was a luxurious interior, expensive paintings, exquisite antiques, and a modern security system, all reflecting the success and status of the owner of the house. Beqiri's career was also on the rise. New music projects, collaborations with famous artists, and international business trips were an indispensable part of his busy schedule. However, like a cold warning from fate, that peace was just a thin veil hiding the dangers that were lurking in the underworld. And then, the fateful Christmas Eve shattered it all. On the night of December 24th, 2019, the Christmas spirit filled the streets of London. The Flamur Beqiri family had spent the evening at a cozy party with close friends. The laughter, blessings, and sparkling lights of the Christmas tree still lingered as they drove home on the quiet streets of Battersea Church Road. However, they did not know that evil was silently waiting in the dark. The assassin, a man dressed in black, with a hood covering his head, had been following Beqiri's journey since before. He patiently waited behind the bushes along the road, knowing every step and time of this family. When the car slowly stopped in front of the villa, Beqiri got out first to open the door for his wife and children. He had no idea that these were the last moments of his life. A dark figure rushed out from the curb, pulled out a gun, and opened fire continuously from behind. The cold gunshots rang out, shattering the silence of the winter night. Beqiri collapsed on the doorstep in the arms of his panicked wife. The killer disappeared into the night in seconds, leaving behind a chaotic scene and a family forever devastated. The bright red bloodstains on the cold stone floor marked the beginning of a tense investigation that was about to unfold. The sound of gunfire echoed through the Battersea night, quickly waking the nearby neighbors. The desperate screams of Beqiri's wife and the child's desperate cries echoed through the quiet walls. A neighbor rushed out in panic, just in time to witness the heartbreaking scene. Flamur Beqiri, lying motionless on the cold stone floor, blood seeping into the white Christmas snow. Minutes later, police cars and ambulances rushed in, their sirens blaring. Flashing blue and red lights reflected off the ancient walls of Battersea Church Road. Medical staff rushed to the victim, but all efforts were in vain. Beqiri was dead at the scene. Immediately, a crime scene examination was carried out with the presence of veteran forensic experts and investigators from the Metropolitan Police. They meticulously checked every square centimeter around the area in front of the mansion. Bloodstains, scattered bullet casings, faint footprints in the snow, and a black woolen hat that may belong to the suspect were carefully collected. Forensics determined that Beqiri had been shot multiple times in the back and head, execution style, suggesting a meticulously planned killing by a professional killer. As the Battersea night slowly fell silent again, one big question echoed through the ancient buildings. Who wanted to kill Flamur Beqiri, and why? As dawn descended on the cold streets of London, Metropolitan Police investigators were in a race against time. The murder of Flamur Beqiri on his own doorstep had not only shocked the local community, but also quickly become the focus of international media attention. Based on the clues collected from the crime scene investigation, the police began to follow every single trace. Security cameras from nearby roads, gas stations, train stations, and intersections were continuously compiled and analyzed. Every blurry frame, every small movement was meticulously scrutinized by experts for hours. Finally, an important image emerged. A tall man, wearing a long black coat and a hood, moving near the scene at the exact time of the incident. Data from the traffic monitoring system helped determine his movement path immediately before and after the shooting. Intelligence from European partners indicated that the suspect was no stranger to the security forces. The man was identified as a Swedish hitman with close links to transnational drug-related criminal organizations. London police immediately coordinated with Europol and Swedish law enforcement agencies to expand the investigation, placing the suspect on Interpol's red list of wanted persons. An intense international manhunt officially began. The intense manhunt lasted for months after the suspect was officially placed on Interpol's red list. London police, working with Europol and Swedish police, tracked the killer across several European countries. Clues from checkpoints, phone records, and bank accounts eventually led them to a quiet suburb in the Netherlands. On a foggy early morning, the task force stormed the apartment where the suspect was hiding. The killer was overpowered without a chance to resist. Finally, after months on the run, the killer was brought back to the UK to face justice. The arrest of the suspect was only the first step. As soon as the suspect was extradited to London, the British police quickly took him to the interrogation room at Scotland Yard, which had witnessed countless historical cases. Facing the bright lights, surveillance cameras, and the cold eyes of experienced investigators, the killer remained cold and silent for many hours. But then, little by little, under uncompromising pressure, he began to reveal the truth. The suspect admitted that he had been hired by an international criminal organization to carry out the assassination of Flamur Beqiri. This was not an individual act, but part of a bloody settlement between drug gangs fighting for control of the European market. The killer didn't know the victim directly. To him, Beqiri was just a designated target. From this statement, the British police proceeded to consolidate the case at a dizzying speed. They scrutinized the suspect's electronic devices, from mobile phones to laptops to GPS data. Encrypted messages, mysterious calls, and travel records gradually mapped out his route from Sweden to London in the days leading up to the crime. Witnesses were also called. Residents of the Battersea area recalled seeing a suspicious man hanging around the scene a few days earlier. Video footage from dozens of security cameras helped confirm the suspect's route. All the evidence came together like the final pieces of a complex crime puzzle. The case file was firmly completed, preparing for the final stage, bringing the perpetrator to justice in the upcoming historic trial. With the case firmly established, the trial of Flamur Beqiri's killer will officially open at the Old Bailey Criminal Court, London, in 2022. This is one of the most famous and solemn courts in England, having witnessed cases that have shocked the world. The Swedish man, as cold and silent as he had been throughout the investigation, finally had to face justice. The prosecution presented the jury with the entire brutal course of the case, from the suspect's secret journey from Sweden to England, to his final steps around Beqiri's villa on the fateful Christmas Eve. The evidence is undeniable. Phone data, witness statements, CCTV images, and the suspect's own confession paint a clear picture of the crime. Family members, friends, and relatives gathered in court, silently weeping as they recalled the heartbreaking moments that took their husband, father, and friend away. Finally, the court announced the verdict: life in prison without parole for the suspect. A harsh punishment, befitting the cruel act that had been committed. As the courtroom doors closed, the somber atmosphere still lingered in the hearts of those in attendance. Justice had been served, but the loss of the Beqiri family was irreparable. The doors of the Old Bailey closed, closing the final chapter of this shocking case. But for Flamur Beqiri's family, the pain remains. The young wife is now a widow, facing a future without her beloved husband. The young child, who had not yet fully understood the meaning of Christmas that year, has lost the figure of a father in his early years. The people of London, and the international community more broadly, were shocked by the cold cruelty of this crime. The incident was not only a personal tragedy, but also a painful reminder of the recklessness and audacity of transnational criminal organizations. A vast underground network, ready to act in cold blood to protect their dark interests. This event has urged British and European law enforcement to further tighten international cooperation measures, heighten vigilance, and monitor underground activities. For the community, this is an unmistakable reminder that personal safety and vigilance must always come first, even in the most seemingly safe places. Flamur Beqiri's heartbreaking story is over, but its lessons still resonate, about the fragility of life and about the incomparable value of peace in modern society.